Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to my channel or welcome back. Um, my name is Christina with Born Again Happy. Thanks for visiting my channel. I am on lesson 72 of A Course in Miracles workbook lessons. And the title of today's lesson is, sorry, I'm all itchy today. I'm ready. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. I love how the last 4 lessons are now tying it all in. It's like one layer, then another layer, and then the third layer, and now we're making the pie. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. While we have recognized that the ego's plan for salvation is the opposite of God's, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on his plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. In the attack, God has assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the ego, while the ego appears to take on the attributes of God. Very sneaky, right? The ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. In fact, the ego is the physical embodiment of that wish. For it is that wish that seems to surround the mind with the body, keeping it separate and alone and unable to reach other minds, except through the body that was made to imprison it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication, yet the ego would have you believe that it is. Although the attempt to keep the limitations that a body would impose is obvious here, it is perhaps not so apparent while holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. But let us consider the kinds of things you are apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? A person says something you do not like, does something that displeases you, betrays his hostile thoughts in his behavior. We give a lot of power to the things that bodies do. Our own bodies, other bodies, what they say, how they're behaving. If our body is acting healthy, is looking good, is looking in shape. We hold a lot of grievances against our own bodies and against other people, and by other people, their bodies. You are not dealing here with what the person is. On the contrary, you are exclusively concerned with what he does in a body. See, now we're starting to make that separation between the body and the truth of what's going on inside, in the inner workings of your soul, your heart, your God space. Okay. You are doing more than failing to help in freeing him from the body's limitations. You are actively trying to hold him to it by confusing it with him and judging them as one. Herein is God attacked, for if his son is only a body, so must he be as well. A creator wholly unlike his creation is inconceivable. That's kind of a tongue twister or mind bender. A creator wholly unlike his creation basically isn't possible. If God is the creator and created you, and you are God, you can't keep the body and God kind of separate. But in fact, when you're doing things out of alignment with God, it's the body that's doing it, but not the inner workings. So, all right, bear with me because this is getting heavy, but we're going to get somewhere. If God is a body, what must his plan for salvation be? And that's it. God is not a body. It's like you hear a lot of spiritual leaders and influencers, people that have really taken a deep dive into this work. They know that this is we all believe, even me as well, I believe that this is all just like a mask. It's a costume. And we're gonna, when our time here on earth is finished, we will be taking off this Halloween costume and kind of going back home. And when we decide to incarnate, if you believe in that, I certainly do, to maybe learn some more lessons, clear up some stuff that wasn't able to be cleared up in this lifetime. You're going to put on a different costume. But God isn't that costume. And we put so much belief in the costume. We use this body like an idol. We worship the body. We worship it through the way we want to, change it to make it look a certain way for even like sexual pleasure. I mean, there's so much worship into all of this, that we look and what it says about you as a person based on your appearance, your body type, your hair color, even skin color, all of it. And that is not of God. Okay, let's keep going. I'll repeat. If God is a body, what must his plan for salvation be? What could it be but death? In trying to present himself as the author of life and not of death, he is a liar and a deceiver, full of false promises and offering illusions in place of truth. The body's apparent reality makes this view of God quite convincing. In fact, if the body were real, it would be difficult indeed to escape this conclusion. And every grievance that you hold insists that the body is real. If I'm holding stuff against my fellow brother, an old friend, a current friend, an acquaintance, an ex partner, I am convinced that they are, as a body, is real. But if I can look past the body, their sense, my conception of the body, them in like human form, and look past that to who they truly are, which is the Creator, which is God, and it's not the body will then kind of fall away from your vision, and then you will start to see more light and good in people. If you can really start to kind of wash your brain, and I use that very carefully, because some people think, certain ways of learning, information as a pathway to Holy Spirit, God, Christ consciousness, is a form of brainwashing. Well, it depends on what the end result is. If that brainwashing leads to, having to separate from your family and excommunicate, if you have to go completely broke in order to be a part of some pathway to get to God, yeah, there's probably brainwashing involved. But if you find yourself embraced in information that feels love and light without needing anything from you, meaning you don't have to leave your family, friends, and boyfriend if they don't believe. You love them more. You don't have to pay a single dime, unless you want to buy the book, to learn this message. And anybody that is working with this kind of text, these concepts, and are truly living this truth, you will never ever feel any sort of pressure or coercion or anything that is so out of the light, out of alignment, to get you to understand this like notion that we are not our bodies. Okay, let me repeat. And every grievance that you hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what your brother is. It reinforces your belief that he is a body and condemns him for it. And it asserts that his salvation must be death, projecting this attack onto God and holding him responsible for it. To this carefully prepared arena where angry animals seek for prey and mercy cannot enter, the ego comes to save you. Dun da da da! God made you a body. Very well. Let us accept this and be glad. As a body, do not let yourself be deprived of what the body offers. Take the little you can get. I mean, we're talking breadcrumbs of what you can get from the body. God gave you nothing. The body is your only savior. It is the death of God and your salvation. So right now, this text is being very, very sarcastic. It's taking the piss, basically. It's saying, okay, fine. If the body's everything and God is nothing, you are going to see there is absolutely no room for you to find your salvation, to understand God, and God is dead. And that's it. And we're going to exalt the body, and you'll see what breadcrumbing is all about when you put all of it. And a lot of the world does put everything into the body, into the material things, what the body can produce financially, what the body can produce relationship-wise. These are all like body functions, the things that the doing, the actual doing. It's not to say to stop doing things when you start doing this work, but we put so much value. If you just change the hierarchy of what is important and change the hierarchy, and you start with God and the truth up top, all those other things that the body does will be in more service to God. And again, you can still keep your job at the coffee house, or at the law office, or at the retailer, or the factory, or the school. You can still be a student, you can still go to nightclubs, you can still all of that. But when you've got the hierarchy, the top of the pyramid being God and truth and source, then the body starts moving a little differently on how they show up in the world. And you're going to show up to that nightclub a little different than maybe some of the discotheque goers. You will attract some beautiful beings, and maybe some crazy ones too. You will enjoy the music a little bit more. You may find yourself not having to take as much alcohol in or other substances to enjoy that evening. I mean, things will start to change actually in the body, that will feel a little bit more connected to what the top of the pyramid is kind of like guiding the body to do. Like I said, at first when I started doing this work, or when I started reading this, because something was just pushing me to do it, I was so afraid I was going to have to give up all the things that I loved. There are some things I did give up, but not by force. It was a natural, organic kind of exit. I just lost interest. And it was actually, that's like a beautiful way to end certain, I guess, addictions even. And I didn't even realize I had certain addictions until they were gone. I was like, oh, wow, I guess I was quite reliant on those. I mean, I did them quite regularly. Even my brain had space for that information to think about how my day is going to go around it. Like, I used to smoke cigarettes. I quit that habit, but it wasn't like I have to quit and I have to go through a program and I have to get a patch. It's amazing when you really start doing and just reading, and you start meditating, and you start wanting answers. You start really digging for like what is all this about? Why are we here? Things will start to naturally fall away. However, some things that you might thought of at once to be quite out of alignment, like let's say nightclubbing, because you used to party your ass off. I used to party my ass off at nightclubs. I used to love it. I love the music. And I'm a little older now. I just recently went to a nightclub and I had the best mother effing time. The music sounded crisper. I met more people. I did not have to consume anything. I had maybe one drink and a lot of water, and I enjoyed and I danced my ass off. My point is, the things that are in alignment still, but perhaps maybe removing certain elements out of that activity, you can still have and do. If you put God kind of at the top of the chain, the food chain, the body starts to act very differently, and it really does kind of start to like integrate. And also with sickness, you find that you may not, either you don't get as sick as often, or when you do feel the tickle or you come down with something, it resolves quicker than before because you start to not log in, because you still have God as the, like feeding you, saying, this is just the body, and I'm not going to put myself through guilt as to why I got sick. Why do I have the sniffles? I'm just going to like let it pass through the body, but still keep my mind clear and just like free of that, like of the noise of what's happening in the body. And it's amazing how, I'm not saying that I never get sick since doing this work. Oh, I do. But I find that it's not a storyline for me. And I don't make it a storyline when I start to feel something coming on. And who knows, maybe one day I'll just not get sick anymore. Who knows? But I can tell you right now that the few times that I did come down with a little something, a little virus or nasally something, no big deal. Came and went. Okay, I'm getting off track here. Or maybe I'm right on track. Who knows? Here we go. This is the universal, okay, it is the death of God and your salvation. We're getting back to the sarcasm, okay? This is if you give 100% belief to the body. This is the universal belief of the world you see. Some hate the body and try to hurt and humiliate it. Others love the body and try to glorify and exalt it. But while the body stands at the center of your concept of yourself, you are attacking God's plan for salvation and holding your grievances against Him and His creation, that you may not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as your friend. Oof. I mean, you're just like, oh, I got to get to the gym. I want my stomach to look a certain way, and I want my body to look good in this outfit. I mean, I was very much like that, but it is blocking the voice of truth. You will see yourself differently in the mirror as well. It's really, it's remarkable. It feels like magic, actually, like a freaking miracle. But it's not. It's supposed to be that way all the time, people. Okay. So while the body stands at the center of your concept of yourself, you are attacking God's plan for salvation and holding your grievances against Him and His creation, and that you may not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as your friend. Your chosen Savior takes His place instead. It is your friend, and He, God, is your enemy. So you are choosing your body as the exalted one, as the go-to, as the all-knowing. And you are literally, it's a very black and white choice. You're either choosing the body or you're choosing your Savior. And I hate using that word. It sounds so, ooh. Anybody that was a little with like church or temple or whatever, where they're just not really into going to places of worship and they just have a weird ick feeling about it. I can understand even the word savior and salvation just still is a little, it could be a little jarring. I get it. But let's get back to what these words really are meaning here and how we can stop attacking ourselves and others. We will try today to stop these senseless attacks on salvation. We will try to welcome it instead. Your upside down perception has been ruinous to your peace of mind. You have seen yourself in a body and the truth outside you, locked away from your awareness of the body's limitations. Now we are going to try to see this differently. The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside us and is not our concern. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. To recognize the light of truth in us is to recognize ourselves as we are. To see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on God's plan for salvation and to accept it instead. And wherever his plan is accepted, it is accomplished already. Our goal in the longer practice periods today is to become aware that God's plan for salvation has already been accomplished in us. To achieve this goal, we must replace attack with acceptance. As long as we attack it, we cannot understand what God's plan for us is. We are therefore attacking what we do not recognize. Now we are going to try to lay judgment aside and ask what God's plan for us is. What is salvation, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. Then we will wait in quiet for his answer. We have attacked God's plan for salvation without waiting to hear what it is. We have shouted our grievances so loudly that we have not listened to his voice. We have used our grievances to close our eyes and stop our ears. Now we would see and hear and learn. What is salvation, Father? Ask and you will be answered. Seek and you will find. We are no longer asking the ego what salvation is. That's the body. And where to find it. We are asking it of truth. Be certain then that the answer will be true because of whom you ask. Are you asking this? Or are you asking him? You will get your answers. You will find what you seek. Whenever you feel your confidence wane and your hope of success flicker and go out, repeat your question and your request, remembering that you are asking of the infinite creator of infinity who created you like himself. What is salvation, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. He will answer. Be determined to hear. 1 or perhaps 2 shorter practice periods an hour will be enough for today, since they will be somewhat longer than usual. These exercises should begin with this. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Let me accept it instead. What is salvation, Father? Then wait a minute or so in silence, preferably with your eyes closed, and listen for his answer. If you are truly, truly, truly just done with the bullshit, if you are just fed up with feeling the way you feel, triggered the way you are throughout the day, you are tired of putting so much emphasis on egoic matters and items, the amount of pressure we put on ourselves to look and be and act a certain way to shapeshift and mold to a variety of different audiences throughout the day, through the weeks, through the months. I mean, I'm exhausted. Are you? I was exhausted. And even when I got what my ego would call certain wins in life, that feeling was fleeting. And then when I would have those losses, oh my God, that was like, there's got to be another way. I cannot rely on whether my body goes from this to this to this to this. If this goes redder or whiter or gray, and my emotional stability relies on who's saying what to me, to them, how, the inflection in their voice, do they sound mad, are they in a good mood? There is just so much. Money goes up, money goes down, my bank account. It's like, what are we doing? We didn't come here to be worrying and molding ourselves for all these thousands of little, because they turn out to be there. They end up being like little situations in our lives. I mean, the big situations are like when you connect with other people. I used to think this journey had to be like a solo one, and that eventually, if I did this long enough, I'm just going to end up somewhere in the mountaintop or in a cave, feeling pretty good, like a monk, enlightened, one with an enlightened Buddhist, whatever, one with the rocks and the grass, but I'm going to have to be alone. I'm going to have no friends. I'm going to have no contacts, because, you know, in order to like really like wash yourself from all the little things that we're so used to like managing and handling all day, every day, from the moment we wake up, and sometimes woken up in our sleep for something in the middle of the night. I'm like, there's no other way I can reach a state of what I'm looking for, which is truth and peace and some enlightenment and some wisdom and some feeling of like God's presence always with me, unless I was completely by myself. No, though, I was wrong. In fact, even though you might take some time to, you know, get yourselves like up and away, you will get to a point where you're coming back down, and some of the current relationships will strengthen while others might fade away, and it's all going to make sense. Some previous relationships that may have faded off might get refortified, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? You're then also going to want to share this knowledge, and you're going to start to attract people that want to know this knowledge. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You become the teacher, but then you're also forever the student, and you never stop learning, and you never stop teaching, and you never stop sharing, and all of a sudden you feel like strangers, that you're having these really interesting exchanges with strangers, and you almost feel like everybody's family member now to you. Everybody's family. And the world just becomes very small, but in the best way possible. I hope that whomever finds this video, this message, is like, just needed to hear, yeah, I'm done with the stuff, this insignificant, of no value, just stuff. I'm done because I'm exhausted. One day I'm here, the next day I'm here, and what's causing the here and here? It is nothing of God. When you make everything of God, the here and the here and the here doesn't exhaust you, because you really do become the observer, and life takes care of life. Muji said that. Look him up. I love Muji. God, I have so many teachers. There's been so many teachers in my life. And they keep coming. They keep coming. Life takes care of life. And all that up and down shit, it's not going to, I'm not saying that the up and down is going to necessarily stop, but boy, you're just not going to feel it in your body. The erratic nature of life. And you will, it's like, you kind of see like it all like, and all of a sudden you see it start to form and work itself out. And you're just sitting there like, okay, I'm so glad I didn't react to all of this. I mean, you're not a robot. You still might just go, ooh, but you're going to be so much more self-aware. And you're going to know, you're going to automatically have the trust in God. You'll be, oh, been there, done that. I have the t-shirt. God's got this. And it's not to say you're going to just sit back and let like problems just explode. No, you're going to be like, God's got this. And they're going to let me know when to make a move and how to make that move and what is the solution. That's what's going to happen. And it is going to be a beautiful dance. And you're going to be like, okay, so I got into a little fender bender. Somebody hit me. We had a beautiful dance. Made a new friend out of it. Go figure. Old Chris, I'd been pissed off. Police, insurance, and oh my gosh, woe is me. Why did I get into a fender? But why did she hit me? No. The new and improved, born again, happy Chris looked at this girl who fender bendered me yesterday, and I said, are you okay? And I grabbed her hand. I said, we're going to make this painless and easy because damage is minimal. You're young. I've been young, and I've been the fender bender person, not the receiving end, but the person doing it back in college, and it was not fun, and the person got out of the car, and he was not that nice to me. He later then apologized, but I was a fragile 20-something-year-old last year in college, and oh my gosh, it was awful, and I kind of bumped into his back. More damage to my cute little VW Bug than what the Lexus got, but whatever. This time around, though, years later, I got a little boop on the back. I first got a little, and I turned around and I looked at the person getting out of the car, and all of a sudden I just saw another child of God. I didn't have that like moment of child of God, but my go-to was, hey, and I grabbed her hand. You okay? You're okay? I'm okay. You're okay? All right, let's get out of the street. We saw the damage. I said, let's go discuss. And we took it, pulled over, let the traffic go because it's spring break right now and it's a little bit crazy. And in 15 minutes, I had somebody on the phone to give me a little estimate on the damage. She looked at me. Everything was in real time. I got a cash amount. I said, are you okay with that amount? She said, yeah. I said, you want to sell it for me? She goes, I have the cash. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, here you go. And we were off on our way. I'm just, the bottom line is the hierarchy, when you exalt and you worship, not the body and all of its many flaws and all of its egoic manifestations and ways of doing things, if you make God kind of like in the driver's seat, life will still happen, but it'll feel a little more magical. Even a mini car accident will feel quite magical. It's weird, but so freaking cool. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Let me accept it instead. What is salvation, Father? Let it all go. Let the body go. And the body will come back, but in a completely reformed way. And it'll just work for you rather than against you. It will. It is. It's like a miracle. That's why. Course in Miracles. You heard it here first, my friends. Love you all. Thank you for listening. Hopefully somebody will get some great benefit from this information, because I know I did. So, and I just want to share it. So thank you. Have a blessed one.